Hello, everybody. Wednesday. Today it's 7th of December 2022. Kayute, my friends. I'm talking not from Dublin today. I'm talking from Cork. So good to have you all here. Also, we have our friends here. So today's topic is Jesus, the prophet, medium of God. How wonderful is talk about Jesus. How pleasure, how comforting is talk about him. And today I will listen what these friends have to say about Jesus. So, good night, Miss Gibbons. How's the cold over there?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome. It's now. It's about 3 more degrees in London. It's going to be colder, but it's winter, so can't do anything about it. But I enjoy it. Welcome everyone. A special talk today about Jesus, especially now that we are going through. Last Sunday was the second Sunday of the Advent that we said remind ourselves of the coming of Jesus or his birth, which is very special time. And once Joanna Giangi said that it's a very special time for the whole world because then the spirits will come down as well. So welcome everyone. Let's hope we have a lovely meeting today. Boa noite a todos, boa tarde. É um prazer estarmos juntos novamente, falando sobre Jesus, muito especial, e bem-vindos. Boa tarde.
Hello, my dear friends. It's a great pleasure to be here once again with Silvia, Stevan, Charles, Rodrigo, maybe, but perhaps not today, tonight, and Nadja from Lithuania. We are a good team that preparing these talks, and the first one that learn a little bit more are ourselves. So we enjoy to share with you, sharing these teachings and Jesus for us, especially this time now that you can hear bells in your church or songs about Jesus and Christmas. We associate with our family, and we are a humankind big family, and we know the importance of Jesus in our lives. And the explanation about prophet, medium, we will deal during our time here. So thank you all and bless you all.
Bonsoir, Charles.
Bonsoir, Steven. In fact, actually, I'm not in France today as well, not. I'm in Spain, so buenas noches. It just finished a congress yesterday here in city of Calpin, close to between Valencia and Alicante, and took here together with our dear friend Jean-Paul Evrard, and taking opportunity to have a couple of days more in order to visit a little bit the region, which is very nice. And I just saw that where I'm living in France, it's 0 Celsius, and here it's 15. So I think it's a fair exchange. And today, very happy to be here again with you all, with Camille. Hello, Camille. Dzień dobry. And we will look a little bit about who was Jesus.
Yeah, great. So, by the way, Jean Paul, Giselle, if you're listening us, I'm missing you all. I hope you're okay, and I hope to meet you in the near future. Keep up with the excellent work in Belgium, please. So, as always, let's start with our video. And put the video here.
Jesus' role was not simply that of a moralistic lawgiver with no other authority than his own word. He came to fulfill the prophecies that had announced his coming. His authority derived from the exceptional nature of his spirit and his divine mission. He came to teach humans that true life is to be found not on the earth, but in the kingdom of heaven. to teach them the way that leads there, the means of reconciling themselves to God, and to forewarn them regarding the progress of future things for the fulfillment of human destiny. Jesus did not come to destroy the law. He came to fulfill it, that is, to develop it, to give it its true meaning and to adapt it to the degree of humankind's advancement. That is why that in this law may be found the principle of duty to God and to one's neighbor.
Okay. So, so Camille says, good night, Charles. Dzień dobry. Just came back from Paris. So everybody's traveling, you know. We are international. That's wonderful. Good, Camille. Okay, let
Dziękuję,
me.
Camille.
Huh?
Dziękuję.
Dziękuję. Yeah. So let me see what we have here. Uh, During my research, I came across to a book um, from Chico Xavier. I didn't know about this book, and the name of the book is translating standing before Jesus. This is message number 7. Before the divine master. What evil has he done? Asked Pilate. But each time they cried out more, be it crucified. Matthew 27:23. Jesus Christ condemned them without fault, vanquished and victorious, deeply loved, violently fought. Of all titles, he preferred that of master, although he had to, in the supreme trials, recognize himself abandoned by his disciples. Of all the professions he practiced, one day he became a carpenter, aware that he would not have for the ministration of his appeals and teachings neither heights of terrestrial power nor galleries of gold, but yes, poor boats, hew in service of an adze and the sisal bowls. Sovereign of eternity, he allowed the crown of thorns to be applied to him, raising himself on a soul made up of two juxtaposed logs in two distinct strokes. He who declared himself to be a bundle of the way, the truth, and the life, gave himself in extreme renunciation in the pledge of such a revelation, suspended in the final hours on the vertical line that symbolized faith, erecting himself in path to heaven, and on the horizontal line which expressed love, nourishing life in the direction of all creatures, as if to tell us that he was, on the cross, he tortured and silent truth, between faith and love, sustaining itself, raised to divine justice, beaten and tortured by men, but with open arms. So, thank you, Elsa. You put it here. Yes, thank you. So, it's it's a very deep message from Emmanuel here, and especially this time of the year, everybody at least think about Jesus. That's the time of the year we get closest to him because more people think about him. And this is wonderful and a pleasure to talk about him today. And in order to start, we go to Spain with our French friend, asking him if Jesus was a prophet.
If Jesus was a prophet, well,
Yeah.
I see your image frozen, Stevan. I think the question is finished.
Yes, you can go. Yeah.
Uh, yes, I mean, you see, which year are we today? 2022. 2022 of what? After Christ, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you see, it's a divider of something. So we are counting the years since him. So of course you have a lot of people saying no, it does not exist. It is a myth. It is this. It is that, or whatever. On the other side, you have some other people. They say no, Jesus is God. Both are wrong. I mean, Jesus is not a myth. He was a real person who came here on earth. And Jesus is also not God, because we are so small. And when we look some spirit which is highly evolved, we make the confusion between the highly evolved and the infinite. God is the infinite. Jesus is not the infinite. He's very highly evolved. But I'm at least are so low that I'm mixing what's a very big with the infinite. I mean, I'm not mixing anymore because we know perfectly now that Jesus was not God. But absolutely undiscussable is the fact that Jesus marked a new era in the humanity. We are counting the years since Jesus, isn't it? And basically, of course, the teaching of Jesus, what are they? He didn't write anything, but we have the Gospels, which have been written by some by John, Luke, Matthew, and Mark, which are containing a lot of information. And Kardec is splitting the Gospels in 5 main parts. Okay, so the first part is the event in the life of Christ. So this gives us some indication where he was, when, what he did, and so on. So it's also somehow discussable, but it's an indication. Second part is the miracles, or what has been called as miracles. We see also, as per the Genesis from Allan Kardec, for instance, today we have a lot more knowledge and a lot of explanation to show that what Jesus did were not miracles, but simply fulfillment of the natural law, which are so good and so perfect that the miracle, which is a kind of an exception or the goodwill of God to derogate from the natural law, no, the law of nature are perfect, so they do not need any derogation. And the power, infinite power of God can be measured through the fact that the law of nature are accomplished, and not that there are by goodwill some exceptions to them. So this is also discussable in the Gospels. Then there is a third part, which is the prophecies from Jesus and also from others. Some happened, some not. Again, it's something which is discussable. Then also in the Gospel, you have a lot of stuff which came in later on. The words taken by the church or the official representative on which they are basing their dogmas, the religious dogmas. And this is also a lot of dust, a lot of ash that you need to clean a little bit the Gospel from this stuff which has been introduced later on. in order to find the fifth part of the gospel. What is the fifth part? It is the moral teachings. Okay, and that one nobody so far did discuss them. Okay, Jesus came and told, love God above all and love your neighbor as yourself. Who is discussing this? Who is discussing that we should not love our neighbors, that we should not go towards fraternity, charity, and so on? Who is discussing the fact that Jesus said, do unto the other what you would like the other to do unto you? These are the moral teachings, and these ones are really undiscussable. Nobody puts them in question. And much more than this, when you look to the Vedas, when you look to the Quran, when you look to the Buddhism, when you look to all the other religions, from this moral teaching point of view, you will find that the same thing, or maybe just slightly different in the form or whatever, can be found in all these religions. So definitively, yes, Jesus was a missionary, a prophet. He brought all this information. He brought us a knowledge which has a universal content that you can find in all the other religions. Because who was Buddha? Who was Krishna? Who was Muhammad? Who was Gandhi? Who were all these other prophets that appeared on earth, bringing a huge mission? It's high elevated spirit coming from the same team, which may be led by Jesus, but all of them are talking the same things about the moral teachings, which are basically reflecting the natural laws, and particularly the one which are governing the spiritual world, but also our world, because we are incarnated spirits. And this is then what is absolutely indiscussable, characterizing also this prophet role of Jesus and of all these other prophets who came to the earth. And this is exactly what Kardec focused on in the Gospel according to Spiritism. He did not discuss, enter into polemics, nothing like. No, what are the real teachings? What are these diamonds coming out of the Gospel? And let's focus about those. So this is why we have seen it in the video. You have told it very clearly, Stevan, as well. Jesus did not come to change the law. He just came to recall it and to put it in application. Exactly. So that's why, yes, definitively, we can say that Jesus was a prophet or a very high elevated spirit who came here on earth in order to help us a little bit. I mean, he came incarnated because, of course, he's still here. Who is not praying for Jesus? Who is not calling his assistance? Because from the spiritual world, high elevated one where he is, helping us here on the earth, he is continuing with this huge mission that he started 2000 years ago, and that if we would put this in application today, humility, he was talking about humility, non-violence, to give up of selfishness and pride. If we really would apply all this, we would be, or since a long time, in the world of regeneration. Since a long time, we would not have any war anymore on the world. So yes, Jesus was definitively a prophet, and he came also clearly to achieve God's plan that he was bringing here to humankind. It's up to us now to make our efforts to understand these moral teachings and then to put them in practice onto ourselves. And that is the best and quickest way. We know it since 2000 years already. If we want to change the world, let's start by changing ourselves, by doing such that every day we are a little bit better than the day before. So I hope I answered the question, and I'm sorry if the connection was not so good from time to time.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. So before we go to Ms. Gibbons, Camille put a question here. What is your opinion about Jesus being one of the spirits talking to Allan Kardec?
Good question. Kardec wrote something which was very interesting, and there is even a kind of a discussion about the spirit of truth. Okay, who was the spirit of truth? A lot of people say it was Jesus. Maybe. But what Kardec wrote very clearly, in order to make the long discussion short, if it's a good message, with a good content, which is helping us a lot, it doesn't mind so much if it was Jesus or Krishna or Buddha or whoever, or the identity of the good spirits. Again, we cannot do the difference between them. So why would we judge that the spirit of truth is or is not Jesus? It's we don't know. All both are elevated spirits and gave excellent, outstanding, profound, with very nice teaching messages. So let's not discuss about if it was X, Y, or Z. Let's see the content and put it into practice. That is the most important.
Yeah, thank you, Charles. Thank you. Miss Gibbon, to warm up you, my friend, can we say, you're on mute, my dear. Can we say Jesus was...
I am mute.
Yeah, now you're okay.
Everything is going a bit disappear. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, can we say Jesus was a medium of God?
Wow. We don't say it. The spirit benefactors, the plethora of spirits who were the ones who codified the Spiritist doctrine, says it. If you read in Genesis, chapter 15, item 2, it said that a spirit gave the definition that Christ was God's medium. The spirits, those who codified the Spiritist doctrine, said so. I'd like to point here, because I don't see Jesus as a prophet, like sometimes is said, because Jesus wasn't a prophet like any other prophet. He was, according to the spirits, he was a medium of God. He was far superior than any other prophet that came. And actually, I'd like to read some things here, because it's very important. The coming of Christ was predicted for thousands and thousands of years before Jesus was born on earth. We know that in Greece, Socrates, but I think I'm going to just stay with the Old Testament. Jesus was predicted in Jeremiah, in the prophet Jeremiah, in the prophet Isaiah, in the prophet Micah, and in Hosea. I'd like to read very briefly what Jeremiah said about Jesus, because the coming of the Messiah. He says here, "Behold, the days will come, said the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice on earth. In these days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely, and this is his name whereby he shall be called, the Lord of righteousness." And then in Isaiah, which is, if anybody knows Handel's the Messiah, the music, most of the text is taken from Isaiah and some other chapters here in Isaiah 9. He says, "For every battle of the warrior, its confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end. And, sorry, there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. This is the Lord of hosts of this. This is in Isaiah, one of the most important of the prophets of the Old Testament. And there is Micah as well, but there is going 7, which is interesting because it's part of what I'm saying. In Isaiah in chapter 7 and 13 and 14, Isaiah says, "And he said, Hear ye now, O house of David, is it a small thing for you to weary man? But will we weary also? Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and he and shall call his name Emmanuel, God with us." Jesus was not the son, of God. He wasn't God split in three, because we know that he was a man who was born on earth, the highest spirit that has ever touched this earth. This is part of the Bible, the Old Testament, in which he was predicted to come. So he was the highest spirit. We know by the teachings of the spirit that he is the governor of the planet and some other planets as well. So I think he has no equal amongst any other prophets that come, that is very respected, that we love equally. But Jesus was apart. He was what the spirits teach us. He was the medium of God because he was the voice of God on earth. I think for me anyway, everything that he taught us, even though Charles mentioned something about all the trickery that's being in the Gospels, things being changed, but the power of his message was so strong, so powerful, that even with the changes that people made to suit themselves, did not destroy the message that he sent. Love one another as I loved you. Forgive as many times as you need to. Do to others what you would want them to do to you. And love God and love yourself. He was exceptionally, he was unequal. Jesus was unequal. He has no comparison. He was the medium of God. He was the one who he still is, who governs us, that he gave us the path to redemption, and he taught us all the wonderful things. And I remember when one of the message of Joana de Angelis, she said, this time of the year is extremely important for the whole of humanity, because even though it might not correspond the date that Jesus was born on the 25th of December, because the calendar has been changed so many times throughout the centuries, but it's a point that we remember the birth of Christ on earth. And this time, all the angels, the spiritual benefactors, they come to earth. So that's why people are kinder, more loving, more interesting. And I know that, we say a lot about Christmas being for buying things, for, a lot of commerce. And there is a lot of commerce in Christmas, is undeniable. But yet, people are buying things to give. Even in the commercial that Christmas in many things has become, you giving presents to people, you buying things, or you making things, or to give. So even though it's being a bit spoiled somehow with commerce, even though the message of love is there, is a message of giving, because most people don't go out buying Christmas presents for themselves, they buy to others. So I think the message that we take from this time of the year and from the teachings that Jesus gave us in the gospel, he taught us to love one another. He always said, I made this point the other day on a seminar I was giving. Jesus never said, I healed you, I have saved you. He said, you healed yourself. Your faith has saved you. He said that for the Samaritan, when the 10 lepers come back, that he said they are screaming to him as he passes, and he said, help us, because they couldn't come near the people. And Jesus said, it be done according to your desire. And then one of them, and he says to them, go and show yourself to the priest, because people who had the leprosy in those days were considered dead. So they were cleansed. And only one of them came back and said to thank Jesus for cleansing his leprosy from him. And he was a Samaritan. And Jesus said, go home. Your faith saved you. And I think this is so important, because in a way, he gave us the power to heal ourselves. He gave us the power that for us to know that we are worthy, that we are important. And in his love, he was so incredible that he was able to forgive our ignorance, the very extreme that he was dying on a cross. So to me, he's incomparable. He's the most wonderful creature. I tell you one sincerely about, I read things, just being here talking about him makes me happy, gives us joy. So to me, he's everything. Is important. I think I go with the spirits. He said he's the medium of God, and I go with them. That's all. Thank you. Sorry, I talked a
That's
bit
all.
too much, but I always do when I talk about Jesus. Thank you.
Yeah, my dear, it's a lot. It's a lot, and always, we needed to think about him. We are not saying if you're consider Jesus God or not, or Jesus another person. At this moment, talk about him, say about him, put him in his mouth, express the love, express the message he brought to us. And saying it, my dear Elsa, how we can talk to Jesus. You're on mute.
Thank you, Steven. I can say about my way to talk to Jesus, and I am 1,000% sure that everything that I ask to Jesus, he listened and sent all his benefactors that are workers, spiritual workers, helping humankind and help me, Elsa, a tiny person, forgetful person, but I am receiving this help. When I ask Jesus, I pray. I use prayer. Prayer is a powerful tool to raise our thoughts towards Jesus. Jesus is a synonym for us of all the beauty in the world, the best doctor, the best psychologist, the best teacher, the best friend, the best brother. So we have everything in Jesus. Is the personification of love, and love can change everything in the world. We are not there yet, but we are slowly getting there. How to use this powerful tool to help humanity, our brothers and sisters of our world. Saying that, I have many confirmations that Jesus is listening me in everything that I try to do, or I think to do, or I are planning to do, or even praying for someone that is ill. I pray with my powerful thoughts. I am a believer, so I know that it is good energy that the prayer expressed between me and our benefactors, me and Jesus is there helping me, helping you, helping us to achieve our goal. Our goal is nothing. I want to earn a lottery. I want to earn a lot of money. It's not like that. It's a subtle thought. So I pray for the best for someone that's ill, someone that is in depression, someone is waiting for an operation, someone that just received a notice or bad news or good news, I don't know, about the cancer that you have to go heart treatment. So we can pray to have a good decision to change from one country to another, and everything is coming as a message in our ears, in our thoughts. That is the answer from Jesus, that He is aware about each one of us, brothers and sisters, as He is our governor of our planet. So the model of for following His teachings, Jesus is the best model of humanity. His teachings, we can educate our children under his teachings as well, especially this time now. And Silvia pointed about the commerce, exchanging gifts, etc., etc. We can do our gifts. We can exchange gifts. It's a pleasure to give a gift to someone. For example, in our non-profit organization, our charity here in Uberaba, Brazil, 60 children. We are preparing people that can give clothes, can give a rucksack for students of our own here in Curitiba, south of Brazil. That is a pleasure to go tomorrow to a shopping center and to buy a short, a shirt, a rucksack, other materials for 11 years old, 7 years old, 13 years old children or pre-adolescent. That's great. So we can give in giving to someone in need, we are receiving more. That is the pleasure to serve, the pleasure to teach our children. And I was asking how to say presépio in English, and Charles reminds me that it's Christmas cribs. né? As the name suggests, are primarily seen during
You're on mute,
Christmas
Silvia.
season. They are, in simple terms, a representation of the birth of Jesus, which Christmas is all about. A Christmas crib is also known as a nativity scene, or a manger scene. And I told my granddaughter Bianca, 10 years old, that we will buy a little figures, né? A cow, a sheep, a manger, a Jesus, a tiny one. And we are year by year growing our presépio or Christmas crib. So in order to know why we in Christmas time we pray for Jesus and all celebrations around a manger that is Jesus born. Of course, we don't know exactly if it's October or April or December, but as December is our calendar, Jesus Christmas is in December 25th, we can teach our children about all about Jesus when he came, born, about Mother Mary, about the Annunciation, about all the mediumship that happens in that time. We can do so many things teaching our children about Jesus and how to achieve his attention, how to pray to Jesus with our own words and from our hearts, from our minds. We can celebrate in our family in a humble way about Christmas. Of course, we can have a dinner. We can give basic food, non-perishable food in a cesta, né? A basic basket to people that has nothing. We can really use the Christmas time to shake our hearts, to shake our minds, to shake our ego, and give more that we suppose that we can do towards the ones that has nothing or less than us. We can share. In sharing, we are serving God and serving Jesus. And as an example of humility or humbleness, we can follow Jesus and feel this time more than the entire year, shaking our hearts towards charity. But of course, we can live Jesus' teachings all the 365 days of the year. We can serve in Jesus towards our thoughts, praying, serving others, visiting a friend. Try to talk with someone that is far from you, 10 years that you not talk, you don't see each other. Try to say hello to someone that you are not seeing, is far from you, and uh, came towards this union, this communion, this Christmas time, and make our hearts in a format of love and charity. And remember that Jesus came and suffered and gave to us the best teachings that we can have. Oh, Bianca is here now in Solomon as well. But that's it, the way that I can talk to Jesus through prayer, with my own words, closing my eyes or not closing my eyes, under a tree, walk in a park, walk in a garden, or even saying, seeing a rainbow. I saw yesterday, oh Jesus, beautiful rainbow that comes after raining yesterday. It was really beautiful. So all this nature that comes inside our hearts, and we can express in our words or in our thoughts, go to Jesus, go to the benefactors, and the benefactors surrounding us answer our talk to Jesus and listen and help us. That is the way that I use my time, my voice, my inner voice, my eyes, my thoughts to see Jesus and talk to him, to Jesus. I hope this can bring a comfort to you. And don't be ashamed, don't be shy, don't be ashamed. Talk to Jesus, ask Jesus, but remember to use your inspiration in order to put in practice what you comes towards you, the the information that comes to your thoughts.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you very much. Very touch. And thank you, Hermínio Silveira, for your comments. Beatriz Gilles is with us as well. So we have a lot of people here, my dear. So,
Stevan, is it possible
yes.
for me to read something from the book Genesis from Kardec?
Let me think. I don't
When you
know.
have a minute,
Of
sorry.
course, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, very, no, it's very quick. Just one paragraph, really. He's talking about it's in the chapter. He says the superiority of Jesus' nature, the miracles in the gospel. Towards the item 2, the first paragraph, he says, even suppose that Christ was not God per se, but a messenger from God sent to transmit God's word, he would be more than a prophet, for he would be the divine Messiah. So I think this answers our questions. Was Jesus a prophet or not? The Spirit did it for us. 2 minutes gone. Thank you.
Yeah. See? Okay. Okay. So, Charles, you are so quiet, my friend. And you used to say, like, in Asia, especially in Asia, we don't have this figure of Jesus being contemplated like we have here on the Occident, on our end. But they had like Buddha. They had a lot of important people passing by there, which is not less important than Jesus represents to ourselves. But is there any common point between them and Jesus?
Yes, of course, Stephen. This is why I insisted so much. So it's important is the message of Jesus, and the fact that we find this message almost everywhere. I mean, it's a universal message. So of course, we here in the Occident, we where the religion is mostly Christian, we know Jesus. I think the Muslim also know Jesus. Jesus is recognized as being a prophet by Muhammad as well. So uh, this is why we use Jesus. But again, I mean, God did not leave any part, any people, any culture, huh, any population of the world without, at a given point in time, a prophet or a missionary. So this is why there was Confucius, there was Lao Tzu, there were, I mean, so many good spirits, high elevated spirits coming from the same team and speaking, talking with the same voice here. Huh? So that's why it's important to present these moral teachings in a universal form and not as being exclusively Christian or that leaving the people's, if we give the impressions that we say that Christianity is better, or no, we should not. I mean, it's this moral law. They are universal. They are for the whole world. Nobody has any privilege in this. Not here in West or in Orient or wherever, far East or whatever. We have all received this same information, these same messages, and that's why we find them almost everywhere. Okay, so I prefer to see it as a team. This all the
Mhm.
spirits came from the team of Jesus, from the team of good spirits which are helping the humanity. And look, take just a model. I have a friend which is a Hindi, coming from India, and we were discussing about Gandhi, for instance. And here he is really has a deep admiration for Gandhi. And when you look what Gandhi did in this life, in this mission, it do it, try to do it. It's not given to anyone. So again, it's a proof by his acts, his attitude, and what he achieved, that he was also one of these missionary. And there are all the time other missionaries coming. So that's why, I mean, what is good, what is bad everywhere in the world. These moral teachings, love the others, the charity, fraternity, respect, responsibility, liberty, humility. All these words are absolutely understandable wherever you are in the world. So the fact we should not, I mean, it's. I'm totally incapable of ranking Jesus and Krishna or Buddha or whoever. They are simply all of this same team, and that for us is enough. We should not focus too much on identity because it's totally out of our how to say, understanding, or out of it. It would be pretentious to make some classification at that level.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's interesting that you talked about Gandhi, because there is a very famous quote from Gandhi that if all the books on earth were to be destroyed. Only the 7 on the mount remained.
Yes,
The earth would not need any more books. So
exactly.
the message, I think one of the things is not comparing the spirits. We know that God sent missionaries, because the text that I read from the Old Testament, there are many, many, many prophets talking about the coming of Christ. But Jesus is the governor of our earth. So, and I think it's not because it's comparing other. They have many prophets, and there is so many people that are prophets, are missionaries of God, that we don't know, and they are working silently even now. They're working hospitals, they are sweeping the streets, they are giving food to someone, and everyone is working towards the benefit of. And even I think one of the important things is that Jesus said that not everyone who says, Lord, we enter the kingdom of heaven, but those who do the will of my Father who's in heaven. Because he had to say in those terms, because people didn't have other understanding at the time. Abstract ideas were more difficult for them. And also, I mean, Spiritists teach us that even people who are atheists, who don't believe in God, but they live Christian life, help people, they go out of their way to be able to help others. They are important because they do the work of helping others. Whereas sometimes people who claim they're so religious, they don't do any good to anyone. So I think, it's the missionaries of God is everywhere, I feel that. But I have Jesus. For me, he is unequal, and his love that was incarnated on this earth. We have never known a love like his, not for a long time, we will not see again. So, that's how I feel it anyway.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. And well, we still have 7 minutes. And Stephanie Acapio, good night, my dear. Thank you for your message as well. So wonderful.
Stevan, uh, a short reminder. If people that are listening us now or later, remember, you can do a humble action. You can buy non-perishable food. You can send um, clothes for winter time in different parts of the world, or even your country, or here in Brazil. There are spaces, ONGs, charities, institutions that are receiving these donations in these times, where a lot of people can really be part of the Christmas time and receiving their humble homes, shanty towns, yeah, things good. Even just one cake can share with their families. So make your heart open a little bit and see the invisible people, because they are our brothers and sisters, and Jesus can be within them and asking you, give me food that I'm uh, hungry. Give me water that I'm thirst. So we can remember this passage of the gospel, né? And do the ones that they are doing with Christ, with Jesus, something good towards other people. Just a
Yeah, yeah.
reminder.
And even though if you don't have money, give you what have you have the most precious, your time. Smile to someone, say good night, good evening, thank you. It's nice to see you. If you give a coin to someone who asking on the streets, look in their eyes. So it is something. And we have last question here. Let me see. We still have 5 minutes. I think we can answer. It's from Camille. Are we destined to govern the planets in our future? Or is it only few that are tasked with it, like Jesus?
Everyone
Spirits
can.
books spirits books
Yeah,
have an answer
Oh,
for that.
we all know.
it's not given for everyone. Huh? You must reach that level of evolution. Huh?
Yeah.
So what we are sure is one day we will reach it. I will reach it. I will reach the level of evolution in Jesus, but it will be a very, 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 very long time from now. A lot of way to go. But as soon as we
Mm.
reach that level, of course, we can have the same type of missions, clearly. And Jesus will even at that moment be at an even higher level. Yeah. So this is also what is good in the Spiritist teachings is Jesus is not a special creation. He has started like all of us, but a long time ago. And so we have him as an example, which is reachable. Huh? Of course, it needs time, but we are all sure, that one day we will reach that. So that's why, as exactly as I told right now, and Silvia as well, let's do our efforts in order to follow a little bit uh, his way, his example, this is wonderful example he gave. Just one more to remind all of us, is a couple of hours before he was crucified, he was washing the feet of his apostles and said, "The one who wants to be the greater amongst us must be the one to serve you."
Spirit
So you
to
see
serve me
another example.
also.
This type of things is absolutely outstanding and
That was
showing
very good.
the
That was
high degree of evolution of the spirit towards Jesus.
Wonderful. So let me put it here the announcements for next week.
just a light.
Let me uh, okay. Let me see here. Wow, wow, wow. How are we gonna do this? Let me see what I can do here because I cannot put my slides. Why? Okay, I will do something here.
As you see, the grace for grace, for that grace and truth. Okay.
Hmm.
Oh, I forgot to say.
Okay, so next week, 14th of December, Christmas and Spiritism. And we will have an extra force here. I don't know, perhaps Nadja will be with us. Rodrigo, no, Rodrigo will be us on 21st, but probably Nadja will want to be with us. So, dying to seeing her again. So, this is a newsletter from Buzz. Here's the link. Elsa is putting on our comment box here. Time to Talk every other Tuesday with Guilherme Dias and Rafael Caldas. Our mediumship course every Saturday, 10:30 a.m. UK time with Guilherme Dias, Munir, and Charles Kempf. And every other Tuesday, we still have our study of the book No Solar. This is a meeting on Zoom. Here's the code, and is having the support from Buzz and the Spiritist Society of London. And this is it, my friends. I want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you for the good comments we have received here. And I wish you all a wonderful rest of the week, a wonderful starting of December. Charlie, safe travel home, back home.
travel home, yeah.
Yeah.
Deve travel home.
So don't forget your scarf, your hat. I know you don't need there, but at home you need. So, my dear Elsa, thank you. My dear Silvia, it was a pleasure to be with you all this night. Thank you very much. See you next
Pleasure.
week.
Thank you.
And I'd like to say a goodbye as well to all those who are listening to us. That lady I met on Saturday, if she's listening to us, big hug. It was lovely
Yes,
to
she
meet
gave the
you.
message to us. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you. Thank
you.
you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Good night. God bless.
Bye bye. Au revoir.